Hi, my name is Andy Forman. This is Disability Connections, a show that helps you make a connection with the disability community. Today we're going to make a connection with the Perkins School for the Blind and my guest Erin Fragola. The Disability Connections is a show that is a call-in show. We love to entertain your questions, comments, and give you direct access to the outreach coordinator of the Perkins School for the Blind, 617-708-3290. If you have a block number, star 82. Again, 617-708-3290. If you have a block number, star 82. Again, my name is Andy Forman. This is Disability Connections. And Erin Fragola, welcome into the connection.
Thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful.
Yes, I'm glad you can be here. Erin, tell me a little bit about Perkins, just to identify what, it's not your prototype, well, go ahead.
So there is a distinguishment. So on one side, there is the Perkins School for the Blind. Now, the Perkins School handles students all the way up until the age of 22 years old. The Perkins Library, however, is on the campus of the Perkins School for the Blind, but we don't have an age limit. We are an accessible library that provides materials to anyone of any age who is a resident of Massachusetts who has difficulty reading books in print through an organic condition. So we have physical, we have visual, and of course we have some instances of cognitive disabilities where someone would have difficulty reading a book in print. So all of our services are completely free. They're provided by the National Library Service for the Blind and Physically Handicapped. Now that's a very specific part of the Library of Congress. The Library of Congress, of course, being in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. So they provide the resources that individual states could then use and bring to the communities in their borders. So every state has at least one NLS library which services the residents in their communities. Our services are accessible not only to the individual but also to institutions as well. So we can also open up not just individuals to this resource, but also nursing homes, assisted living facilities, rehabilitation centers, hospitals, libraries, schools. There's many different institutions who cater to people who could use the services and in turn would be able to have their own account, their own equipment, access to the online database, and everything is completely at no cost.
So so there's two. Just to back up, there's two: the school and the library.
Yeah.
The school. How old do people have to be to go to the school? Is it?
The school takes people very close to birth, so toddlers, young children, they can provide them the venues and the resources that they need so that they can grow and become adapted and really excel.
Folks who are totally blind, visually impaired, legally blind?
Yeah. In fact, many instances you'll have people that may have multiple disabilities, and the school is very adapted to that. We are one of the oldest institutions in the country, let alone in Massachusetts.
Very well known.
Very well known, yeah. The miracle worker, Helen Keller, that is perhaps one of our more famous alumni. So that is a very well-known facet of our school.
Is it residential and or commuter or?
I believe that most of the students that we have live on campus. Okay. I'm not quite sure if we have day students that attend there as well. But there are housing available. And I think that we have at this point about 115, 120 students currently. Don't quote me on that. Okay. But we do have capacity for more.
I won't because you're the librarian. Okay. So talk to me a little bit more about, you said any age.
Yes.
Now we're moving over to the library part of the Perkins. Which is fantastic. I am a user of the library. I use a couple of the pieces on the table in front of us. I read large print books all the time, and those are from the Perkins Library. Yeah. And it's great. So you said any age. What is your youngest?
Oh, goodness. Once people can start reading and understanding, then the most popular of the mediums that we produce are our talking books. And for anyone who's curious, a talking book is very similar to an audiobook, just that the term talking book predates audiobooks. So we continue to use the term talking book to describe what is, in essence, for someone who may be looking from the outside, it's an audiobook. So anyone who is able to listen to a story would be able to use our services and to gain something from that.
oldest, so the oldest, I mean, you have any folks who are 100?
Oh, goodness, yes. Actually, that's a wonderful question. We actually have a special program. So when we have a patron who does reach a centennial age, we send them out a certificate and just a pin of acknowledgement saying, thank you so much for your continued service and for being with us for so long, and just consideration for that achievement.
So folks that listen to books, these are not all folks with visual disabilities.
Right, yeah. So a lot
Give me an idea, what are the kinds of disabilities?
Sure, yeah. So we have people who, through a visual, of course, but through a physical disability, and in some instances even a cognitive disability, would be able to use our services. So MS, Parkinson's, severe arthritis, someone who had a stroke, someone who has experienced brain trauma. There's just many different reasons why the act of holding a book would be difficult for so many. And as we age, macular degeneration is perhaps one of the most common reasons why people are referred to us. People assume that because we're on the campus of the Perkins School for the Blind, that only someone who is completely blind would be able to receive the services. And that's furthest from the truth. There are people who just have low vision and their eyes just get strained and they just get headaches if they try to read for too long.
Or folks with dyslexia, or
dyslexia, yes.
Or other physical disabilities.
Yeah.
And how do you sign up?
Oh, excellent question. So it's actually quite easy. If somebody is receiving services, if they're receiving medical services through an optometrist or through a doctor, I hope that the doctor would be able to explain to them what we do. All of our services are completely free. The way that I describe it to people, we're very much akin to a traditional public library. You wouldn't pay to go to a public library. That's provided to you by the state, and it's free for anyone. For our library, to get access, to get a library card, as it were, for our services, you would need to have something that prevents you from reading books in a normal, traditional way with ease. So to get signed up, I have here in front the individual application. There are two parts to it. There is a white part and there's a yellow part. Now, the white part is mostly just information about what the services include, who is eligible to apply for them, and just basic information about the library and who we are. The yellow part, this is the actual application. Now, here at the top, that's where the patron's going to put their information down. Whatever address is put down here is where we will mail the material to. This is important to know, too. Nobody needs to go to Watertown to visit our library to receive services. We do have a lovely walk-in area. We're always welcoming guests.
They
do tours.
They do. It's a beautiful school. I've
the
been
campus
there.
is amazing. It's gorgeous. But of course, if someone is unable to come all the way out to Watertown, we service the entire state. So from Pittsfield all the way, every part of the state here we take care of. So whatever address is put down for the contact, that's the address that materials are mailed out to through the U.S. Post. There is no cost involved in this whatsoever in the circulation. So material will be sent to you and it'll be returned back from you, and there's no cost involved whatsoever.
So if I have someone watching right now that says, gee whiz, I can access talking books, I can access, what are the other kinds of things that you offer?
Oh, goodness, quite a bit, actually.
I mean, I do large print.
Yeah, the large print, actually the large print, just so you're aware of this, the large print is predominantly handled by our sister library, which is in Worcester. It's the Worcester Talking Book Library, located at the Worcester Public Library. And much in the same way, they will mail material through the U.S. Post to the person's door. So there's no need to come out to Worcester, there's no reason to come out to Perkins, except for just a tour.
I've never been to Worcester.
Yeah. So the material that they have there would be sent out in the same way, but they handle the large print. Now, if you come to our library, we would handle the talking books themselves, as well as the magazines and the newspapers. We also do the audio-described DVDs, which is another wonderful feature, and we can get into that shortly. Just to quickly go back to the application process. So the inside is going to describe all of the information that we have, all the offerings that we provide. Some of it are services, some of it are peripherals. On the very back is the authorization form. Now, this is fairly important, though. An authorizer could be any number of people. In essence, it's a working professional who's able to say this person's quality of living would be improved by having access to these services. So an OT, an optometrist, a medical doctor, a librarian, a teacher. There's many people who would be able to say to someone, you have one of these conditions. So eligibility of certification. These are the more common reasons why people are referred to us. Blindness, a visual impairment, a physical disability, a reading disability, or a combination of deaf and blindness. This doesn't cover all of the service or all the reasons why someone could use our services, but these are the more common ones.
So if someone is sitting out there watching us and they say their father, mother, aunt, uncle, whomever, child, whatever can use it, should they first talk to their doctor or should they call you guys?
They can always call us. But in order for us to sign up a patron, though, somebody within someone who knows that person would need to be able to say, yeah, I authorize this. Easily enough, a medical doctor is perhaps the one that's the most preferred because that trumps all the other options. If a medical doctor says this person desperately needs it, then that is...
So that would probably be the easiest way to do it.
Yes,
If you want to access... So you mentioned books. We mentioned talking books. But you just briefly mentioned magazines.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to read Newsweek magazine or Life or whatever, those are also, I can get the weekly edition of Sports Illustrated or whatever magazine.
Yeah, and this is a great segue. So not only do we have the materials, magazines and newspapers available in a format for our cartridges. Now that's a person reading it. That's a human who's going into a recording studio and reading through the weekly or the magazine. Now we have another service which is called Newsline. Now Newsline is very popular. This is something which provides same-day delivery of magazines and newspapers.
And I just want to interrupt you. Also great service. Listen to it every day. 4 or 5 times a day.
Oh, yeah. It's incredibly popular.
Describe it.
So the Newsline is basically a computerized voice, similar to your GPS voice. It's called text-to-speech, and so it's going to take the printed text of the articles and convert it over into an audible voice that you can listen to. You can listen to it either on the telephone, so if you had a smartphone or a landline phone, you can put it on speakerphone if you wanted or have your headset connected, and then you can listen to somebody reading to you newspapers and magazines from that day as soon as they're published.
Or a computer.
Or a computer, yes, of course. Yeah, anything with an internet access where they can go and they can log online, they'd be able to listen to these publications. So very popular, very powerful, and completely free. All they need to do is just check it on the application, and that's this one right here, Newsline. And once they put a checkbox on that, then we would contact them and provide them the next step to get their own account, and then they can access that whenever they want.
I think it's an incredible service. I have my favorites, and I listen to stuff, but I like to, if a news story breaks in New Orleans and you want to go to the New Orleans Associated Press or something, there's a way to activate, and go to the local news.
Yeah,
media.
And that's so rare. I mean, it's a phenomenal service. But like, if you went to a local library and you asked them, "Can I get today's Hawaiian newspaper?" I don't remember what that is, but like, you'd be able to get this though. So if you moved from Chicago to Massachusetts and then you wanted to continue to read about the Cubs, you can do that very easily. Then all you do is you just call up this number, you'd enter in your code, and then you'd select whether you wanted a magazine or a newspaper, and then it would give you all the different options across the state to choose from.
That is a Perkins School for the Blind service?
Well, we provide it, but
it's called NFB, National Federation of the Blind.
That's the group that produces this. We partnered with them, so that's a service which is available, and all someone needs to do is to be a patron of the Perkins Library, and they would have access to that. Now, there's another service which is also incredibly popular. Now, dependent upon someone's abilities, if they're interested in more technologically advanced features, we have something called the Bard, as in the Bard of Avon, like Shakespeare.
Right.
It stands for Braille and Audio Reading Download. So anyone who can read Braille and they have a refreshable Braille reader would be able to download from our entire database of books directly to their device. Now, if somebody doesn't and they have a smartphone or a tablet, if someone has low vision and they can still use their Amazon Kindle.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Just back up again.
Yes, please.
BARD stands for Braille
and Audio Reading Download.
Okay. And this is for people that use Braille, or that read Braille.
Not just Braille. Basically, it's a system, it's an online database which allows people 24/7, 7 days a week, weekends, holidays, whenever, unfettered access to our entire collection. Now, people can always call up the library, though, if they want to know, do you have this book? Could you send me this book? What was the name of the book that I'd read last year? I can't remember the name of the title. But they can always call us up. We love hearing from our patrons. But some people, they're more independent. They don't want to have to bother with that, and they just want to have access to it on their device because, admittedly, a smartphone is a little bit smaller than our talking book machines. There are advantages to these. But some people, they would much rather just have a small device in their pocket. So Braille is an option for download. So if you have a refreshable Braille reader, you could do that. But if you have a smartphone or a tablet or an Amazon Kindle, you can also download the app and then have complete access to everything. And this is pretty much what it looks like. I'm not sure if the camera will be able to see that, but this is the Bard app. So it's completely free. There's no cost involved in this one at all. We have also partnered with other third-party groups like Audible. So Audible is one of the main sellers that they have for Amazon books in the Amazon bookstore. So I shouldn't say several, but we have many titles in our database which come from Audible. So it's the exact same service, but it's completely free.
I remember, you were commenting about the size.
Yeah.
I remember the cassette recorder, these big yellow, orange, whatever color cassette recorders, and you actually had 4-sided cassettes.
Yeah.
And you had a switch, and that was a couple years ago, and I think I still have some at home, which I haven't returned back yet. Whatever. I didn't say that out loud, did I? These are great.
Yeah.
And I have these on the tapes.
Yes.
At home.
Oh, perfect.
That they send me all the time,
So true story about the old tapes, and you're absolutely right. There was a little bit of...
Are they still being used?
No. We still have some of them, but no, we've since moved away from those to a much more powerful format.
Technology has changed.
Goodness, yeah. But the cassettes, though, there was a button that somebody needed to know to press it because they weren't going to just turn the cassette over. You listen to it, you press the button, it reverses it, and then when you're done in that direction, then you turn it over. You listen to it, you press the button, it goes backwards again.
Right.
So there's 4 sides, but we had many people that were calling up to complain saying, when are you guys going to start offering unabridged books? And everyone was sitting there looking, like scratching their head, going like, I think all of our books are unabridged. And we've come to find out the reason being is because not every one of our patrons realized that they needed to press the button. So they're only listening to half of each tape. And they're like, there's so many details that I'm missing. Who is this character? What is happening? So we've eliminated all of that. That, in my opinion, was not the most accessible of formats for us to have for people. There was not Braille. There wasn't high contrast image or colors on the players. And much like these machines, these are very accessible.
But I also remember they were actual cassettes.
Yes.
Sometimes the cassettes would get unwound or whatever, and they get tangled. And here is the disc. There's the book.
Yeah, that's in fact
is that a book or a magazine, whatever it is?
That's actually a very unique item. But yeah, all of our cartridges can have more than just one title on them. There's a lot of information which can fit on one of these cartridges. So just to give you a quick idea about the machines themselves, this is the standard version of our player. It's about the same footprint as a toaster. It's got some weight to it. There is a 29-hour battery life on this, and that's where the weight comes from. The battery in here will play non-stop for over a day. So it really is a beast of a machine, though. There's a little handle on each of the machines. You can carry it around with you. And on the back there is a plug for charging. Then you would leave it to charge. Some people like to have it on their nightstand table or on their kitchen counter, and they don't really plan on taking it with them anywhere. If that's what they needed to use it for, just around the home, then by all means. But it's very easy just to unplug it, put the cord back in here, and now it's completely portable, and you can carry this around listening to it for longer than a day. So very powerful. Now that's the standard one. We have another version, which is the advanced machine. Now the difference between these two is that the one on my right, camera's left, that's this one right here, has that extra row of buttons that this one doesn't have. So right here in the middle, there are these extra options which allow for an advanced control of all of the machines, or all of the books rather. So we have in our collection these cartridges.
Let me let people know again. This is Disability Connections. My name is Andy Forman. We're helping you make a small connection with the Perkins School for the Blind. Erin and I probably can go on all day and still not cover everything that
that's true.
It offers. I think it is a great service that they offer, and they offer so many things. I guess quickly, I want to get to a couple things here.
Sure.
This is the fast bullet section or the quick bullet section of our show. if someone signs up, do you send someone out to tutor them, or can they get?
So if somebody doesn't know how to use one of the machines, one of the challenges that we encountered was how do we explain to somebody how to use all the functions of the machine if they can't read the manual. So what we've done is that we've set up the machine so that if there's no book inside of it and the machine is turned on, if you don't know what a button does, you just press it.
And
it'll explain it. So there's a button on here, it's called sleep, and someone may not know what sleep does. Now I'm not going to listen to the whole thing because it's about 2 minutes of explanation, but if you press it,
pressing the sleep button once will play 15
it'll explain what it does.
and then stop.
So just quickly, the sleep button, you press it once, it goes to sleep, turns the machine off in 15 minutes, or half an hour, 45 minutes, or a full hour.
Again, it's a great service, what you guys doing. Tell me again, how can people get in touch with?
Excellent question.
The best way they can get in touch with the services that you offer. If they want to contact the library, how do they do that?
Excellent.
What is the number? What your contact information?
Yeah, of course. So the main number to reach us, the toll-free number is 1-800-852-3133. The local number, it's 617-972-7240. Both of those numbers will take them to the main library access information. And then if they're calling during business hours, which is at this moment, it's 8:30 until 5, Monday through Friday, they can call us up during those hours and they can speak to a recommended reader, they can speak to one of the library staff members, and they can ask us questions, they can get feedback from us, they can customize their account. Some people, they don't want to receive as much material as others. Some people, they want to receive things only upon request. We can set it up so that somebody receives materials automatically based upon how many books they want to read per month or per week.
Well, I don't know. They send me stuff without me telling them.
Yeah, well, that's a very common option for people. But
great.
if you don't want to receive books that frequently, if you only want to receive it upon request, that is part of the application process. On the inside of the application, all they would do is they would select service preference. We have interest and title selection. So there's a lot of different options for customizing the app, their system.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Erin.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here again. We probably could go on. You talked about a 29-hour battery.
29. We could go longer than that.
We can go for 30, okay, and still not cover everything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're one of your biggest fans.
Oh, thank you.
And hopefully we can get a lot of people in touch with you and with the library and get folks, but they usually think of blind library. No, it's more than just that.
Yeah, no, this is
and
perfect.
that's what we want to get out. So
wonderful.
again, thank you for being my guest.
Thank you.
And my name is Andy Forman. This is Disability Connections. Hopefully, and I just did help you make a connection with the Perkins School for the Blind, Perkins Library for the Blind. Thank you for watching. See you next time.